Hola. Che, te quería hacer una pregunta. ¿A vos te pasó algo? Porque hace como, no sé, 2 semanas que no subís video. Y es raro, porque vos siempre... ¿Sabes por qué no subo videos hace 2 semanas? Porque hace 2 semanas que estoy subtitulando un video. ¿No tenía subtítulos? ¿Por qué te pusiste a subtitular un video? ¿Vos crees que si el video hubiera tenido subtítulos, yo me hubiera puesto a subtitular todo un video de 50 minutos? ¿Vos crees? Estoy traumatizada, literal. Me conozco todas las palabras que usan, todas las maneras de hablar, sé cuándo tragan saliva, cuánto ruido hacen con la boca, sé cuánto titubean antes de hablar, sé cuánto tarda en llegar el agua al tanque. O sea, literalmente yo puedo editar una película de Adam Sandler o de Vaniis. ¿Eso es café? Mira, no me rompas la bola, sí, estoy tomando café. No debería porque me estoy alterando, pero hace como 3 días que no puedo. Tomá lo que quieras. Mirá, hace 2 semanas, pero ya no sé cómo pasa el tiempo. Yo no tomaría café, o sea, yo me tomaría un tilo siendo vos, no sé, pero seguí trabajando y por favor subí algo porque tenemos que mantener un canal, ¿sí? Gracias. Sí, como escucharon, tuve que subtitular todo el video que vamos a ver a continuación, que en realidad yo ya lo vi y lo estoy volviendo a grabar, porque tuve un montón de problemas, un montón, pero eso no me iba a detener. No me presento. Hola, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a mi canal, soy Vaniis. En el video de hoy vamos a reaccionar. Bueno, reaccionar no, porque ya lo vi 800 veces, porque tuve que subtitularlo. Así que es más un análisis y hablar un poco de el hecho de ser actor. Los admiro un montón, tanto a Brad como a Adam. No hay duda de que son unos actorazos y por algo están vigentes hasta ahora, ¿no? Hace, no sé, como 30 años de carrera deben tener cada uno. Ahora sí.
Yeah. I feel like we should be talking about colonoscopies.
Sí, dijeron que deberían hablar sobre colonoscopías. Sí. Sí.
By the way,
yes,
I always wondered because when they put you out,
yeah,
you're on your back.
I was on my backish side.
It wasn't till your film,
Yeah.
Uncut Gems. That's a
Yeah.
plug.
Al principio estás como, ¿por qué están hablando de colonoscopías? Y yo me pregunto, ¿habrá sido una idea auténtica de Brad decir eso? ¿O está guionado?
I was awake during that shot, but having to pretend to be asleep. And that was a real doctor in there, and he was talking and he was touching, and yeah, I wish I was out.
And poking,
Poking,
prodding, and hey, the things we do for art.
Gajes del oficio, no lo entendería.
It's funny. I got shoulder surgery. I played basketball with the guy who did my shoulder surgery, and he looks at me now like he knows something. I'm like, what did you do to me, man? What did you do to me?
¿Por qué jugaba al básquet con el chabón que le operó el hombro? ¿Cómo fue la situación? O sea, ya eran amigos, le operó el hombro y después, che, vamos a jugar al básquet, dale. La única que se hace esa pregunta.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino. You get that script. I know, I've seen Quentin. He goes hardcore at perfection in the script. So the script itself, you get that. You get your character. You. What's the first thing you do when you know you're going to do it?
Well, this one because the previous one, the script got burned. And so this one, there was just one copy, his first copy, and you'd have to go to his house and read it.
Lo que debe ser ir a la casa de Quentin, yo ya le digo Quentin. Imagínate ir a la casa de Tarantino a estudiar un guión. Yo estaría emocionada porque me quemen el guión. Sí, qué malo, sí.
First time I went, it was a nice, clean, crisp script.
Wow.
And I got called back like, I don't know how many weeks later, and it was all dog-eared and
All
snot-stained and coffee cups. And
Tengo cosas en común con Brad.
It's official, old buddy. Well, has been.
what are you talking about? What did that guy tell you?
Told me the goddamn truth is what he told me.
Una de mis duplas favoritas es Brad Pitt y Leonardo DiCaprio. Y que estén juntos en una película es como, ya está. Puede ser la peor película del mundo, pero no me importa, porque está Brad Pitt y Leonardo DiCaprio.
I saw Conan O'Brien, and I was at a hotel. I was talking to him, and he just got done seeing it. And we talked about the movie, and we were both going, man, that was so funny. This was so funny. It's got the rhythm of a comedy, kind of.
What, Quentin's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
well, thank you coming from you, because
Thank you.
You know that stuff.
Esta cosa de la humildad de los grandes.
Those guys, the Safdie brothers, I let them have total. I throw thoughts out there, and I talk to them during the pre-production and stuff, and then on the day they'll say, try this, try that, maybe don't be so upset there, and see what happens there. We did and not like with the Quentin, we did go off the script a little bit. Mostly script, but then on occasion, you know, before action, I would be back in a different room about to enter a set, and the safety guys would say, hey, maybe say this when you go out there, see what happens, you know? And we went off like that a few times.
I see you out there when the stadium's all booing you. You're 30 up, you're still going full tilt. Let's see what has Vegas got you guys at tonight? Take a look, let's see.
Are you serious? You're gonna put this up right here?
Look at this. The Sixers are supposed to win the game tonight.
It's so funny because when you do a scene and you got to cover a scene and do the master and blah, 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 and shoot and shoot and shoot, there's nothing better than somebody coming up with a new line. All of a sudden, it's like the freshest thing to you. You say that new line, you're like, can you give me 5 more new lines? Because I think I'm getting stiff here with this other stuff, you know?
The point, what I took note is, I once saw Tony Hopkins. We were doing the scene, this was mid-90s or 97 or something.
90s, 97, Joe Black. No sé si vieron esa película, es una película bastante vieja. Que curiosamente está Brad Pitt y Anthony Hopkins, que creo que es una de mis películas favoritas de Brad. Me da un toque de miedo, pero me parece que es una película increíble. Creo que era Mi nombre es Joe Black en español. No les voy a contar de qué trata porque tipo les digo de qué tratan y ya saben, ya les spoileo casi toda la película. Pero curiosamente está Anthony Hopkins y Brad Pitt y más o menos la película es de esa época. Aunque también podría ser Leyendas de Pasión, donde también está Brad Pitt y Anthony Hopkins, pero es del 94 y Conoces a Joe Black es del 98. Así que bueno, alguna de esas es.
Scene wasn't working for him. I mean, for me, I thought it was great. But for me, it wasn't working. And he turned around, he turned his back to us all for about 30 seconds and turned back around. And he did it. He just came in. It was just a completely different tone.
All right.
The words were the same, but the tone was different. And it was glory.
Lindo debe ser compartir una escena con estos actores, o sea, tan apasionados y tan dedicados y tan disciplinados y tan admirados y con tanta trayectoria. Debe ser un honor.
Yeah, it's funny. We did a few scenes in Gems where when I'm at home working on it and I'm alone working on it, it's one thing, and then all of a sudden you're with the other actor, you're meeting eyes, you're like, oh man, this is bringing like a whole other feeling up. You never, that's usually when I feel I did something right, where I was there in the moment when you're locking in with somebody.
When you surprise yourself.
Yes, and you let yourself say, okay, well that was real at least.
My argument that if it's real for you, it's going to read real, because the camera, man, the camera reads.
Right.
Reads that.
The realer, the better. But it's then there are guys who come at it where they step back from it being real and they do something bananas, and it's funnier than anything you could do. So.
But well, I would say, you know, I see that in some of your other stuff, like the really irreverent ones like Zohan and stuff.
Right.
But I equate that to like Will Ferrell, you know.
Yeah. He's incredible at that.
But it's still, there's truth in.
He always looks
what
like
he's making
a guy
fun
you know.
of, you know.
Yes.
And there's
He
truth in
always
what you're
looks
making fun
in
of.
the scene as that guy, as whoever person he's playing. You believe Will Ferrell is in that situation.
Estoy recordando varias películas de Will Ferrell. La más absurda que vi es, no sé cómo se llama, creo que se llama Superstar, que es como una parodia a las películas de amor adolescente. La película es súper bizarra desde que empieza hasta que termina, y el personaje de Will Ferrell es como, ¿qué? Otra es Patinando hacia la Gloria, creo que es. El personaje es hiper mega bizarro y siempre está como siendo como una especie de autochiste. Después hay otra película que en esta creo que él está más serio. Hay una autora que escribe un libro y lo que va escribiendo le va pasando al protagonista que es Will.
This movie, first of all, hats off, man.
Thank
that was
you,
phenomenal.
buddy. I'm so happy you liked it.
I had such anxiety watching it. It looked like a ball to make.
It was.
Except for the panic scenes. It looked
there was
really
some
difficult.
heavy moments, yes, sure, but there was so many people in every scene. It was so rat-tat-tat, everybody going nuts, and it was alive most of the time.
It was alive.
Yeah.
It was noisy, it was chaotic,
It
was a lot of energy going.
Yes, yeah.
Like very kinetic.
Yeah, man.
But watching it, oh my God, so anxious.
Yeah, right.
Your guy, you know, watching someone, you know, the way they describe an airline disaster is like a series of bad mistakes. It's never like one mistake.
Sure.
And when you watch, you're like,
yes, yeah.
just a man, just keep making
Oh, yeah.
bad choices.
Yeah, that's right. It's so funny too, because you know when you're shooting, it's scene to scene. It's you in the morning you shoot one scene and you go, oh, that's where he makes that wrong decision. Okay, let's concentrate on that. But as a whole, when you watch the movie back, you're like, oh yeah, it does get on you, man. You feel terrible. The guy can't get it.
Ok, es como un juego de rol tipo Life is Strange y todos esos juegos. Tengo que tomar decisiones y a veces el actor tiene que tomar malas decisiones, o sea, el personaje está tomando muy malas decisiones, vos tenés que tomarlas igual, aunque sabes que son malas decisiones, pero el personaje no lo sabe. En algunos puntos se van viendo esos errores graves que los llevaron a donde estaban.
I think you are the most annoying person I have ever met.
Siempre la hacen hacer de mala, de hija de puta, de bruja, de... No, para. En Glee no era malo.
There's always a kindness that you bring to all your characters. There's a kindness of heart in the back of it. It's why you care for.
Che, salí de ahí, va.
Something no matter what I do, that it's a little like something about me slightly goofy at all times. So it kind of makes you go, I don't know, he's off a little bit. Watching you. We're going to talk about Hollywood now, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But your character to me, so again, like you're saying about me, I thought your guy was so warm, so kind, loved Leo's character.
Hay algo que nos guste o no nos guste en el cine y en la televisión, están y van a seguir estando seguramente, que es el tema del physique to run y las sensaciones que da la imagen. Yo no lo conozco a Brad, o sea, no lo conozco en la cotidianidad para saber cómo es realmente. La imagen que a mí me da Brad es que es una persona tan cálida, amable, tipo, como muy respetuoso, como muy así. Y hay como algo, ¿no? En sus rostros, en sus gestos, en su expresión de la cara, en sus arrugas. Ya te da como esa sensación de... No puede ser el malo. Y es que, miren esa sonrisa, o sea...
Yeah, that was the best. That was a real friendship. It reminded me of a lot of friendships that me and you have mutual friends.
Y el tema de que Brad y Leo sean amigos reales refuerza el hecho de que estén actuando juntos siendo amigos, siendo dos actorazos tan grandes y encima son amigos de verdad. Ya está. Ya está. El Oscar está asegurado.
One of the best scenes when the guy punctures your tire. There's like pain. You're like, besides the fact that we're so excited to watch you possibly pummel this guy, because we saw what you're capable with a fight earlier in the movie. Just like the fact that he damaged your buddy's car, and you're like, man, you can't do that, man.
You can do it, man.
I was thinking too when I watched Ad Astra, and I saw you had so many days where. First of all, the way it was shot was incredible.
Hoyt van Hoytema, one
Good
of our best.
¿Quién es el director de fotografía de la película Ad Astra? Y acá lo vemos junto a James Gray, el director general de la película.
James Gray, but
Yeah.
he's one of our best.
My God, man, and just the timing of like the shield of the helmet coming into where we actually see your face from it, and your emotions were so powerful.
Cuando tenés que hacer una escena estática, donde no hay una acción de desplazamiento, pero te tenés que mover desde el pensamiento, literalmente con una cámara acá, o quizás no tan acá, pero por ahí no puedes ni pestañear, con toda la carga del personaje. Y soltar la expectativa, ¿no? Que el movimiento surja por ese pensamiento, creo que es lo más difícil de todo.
You know, it's interesting because of the, what you're exploring, but it takes a toll. I mean, I'm not complaining, but you just know what you're in for. You know? You know what you're in for when you sign up for it and what it's going to be, and really grateful when you come out the other end.
Yes,
but yeah, those were those kind of days where you got to be and you got to put yourself in that. Whatever's personal for you. Whatever the upset is in the scene. Tonally, you have to. You got to be there.
Yeah, I know.
Me, I don't know how you get there. What do you do?
El tema del estar presente creo que es la clave para todo. O sea, literalmente para todo. Porque si estás conectándote, ¿no? Con pensamientos que te van llegando, de pensamientos pasados, pensamientos recurrentes, ya saliste del presente. O sea, ya estás en el pasado o en el futuro.
Actually, I didn't do as much as I usually do where I put this pressure on myself. I just said, I'm feeling like this guy. I really did my backstory. I worked hard at this character and knowing the way he thinks and where he goes.
La historia del personaje es sumamente importante. Si no tenés la historia del personaje hecha, o sea, primero que va a ser todo hiper mega fingido y no tenés realmente el conocimiento de por qué piensa de esa manera y por qué piensa de esa manera va a ser lo que va a causar la acción que haga.
I saw those close-ups, I saw like that you always had this so much baggage going on in your head and every facial expression, even when you weren't moving, even when it was such a still shot, it was very effective. You were, I could just tell you were deep in something the whole movie.
Yeah, that was, you know, I talked to James before going in, because it was such an insular and lonely kind of existence in the abyss of space and where we were going to end up. I told him, I asked him, you know, I see this as very, very, very still. I'm going to see how still we can be. And when it gets flat, you know, just pull me out.
What can you tell us about the Lima project?
First manned expedition to the outer solar system, sir. Some 29 years ago.
And the commander was?
It was my father, sir.
It reminded me a lot when you found out something about your dad and it crushed you because you had a belief about one thing your whole life growing up, and then all of a sudden you hit with something else. It's when my father's funeral, when my father passed away, and after the funeral, and I love, you know I love my dad a lot.
You guys are very close.
We were tight. And then you have people coming up to you and telling you their own stories about your dad and them, and you're just like, what happened? It is a shocking feeling to get hit with stuff you didn't know about your father.
Like,
just stuff that you didn't want to know.
Gracias, yo sé cosas que tú no sabes que yo sé y que no sé si deberías saber, pero las sé.
Old Tommy Lee was great in the movie too, huh? Goodness.
Yeah, he's another one.
Jeez.
Just like, I didn't think some of the dialogue actually even worked on paper. I was talking to James. James, we got to work this for him.
Right.
He comes in, nope, and just like.
Oh, he made
does
it.
it,
Yeah,
which
so
just tells
great.
me I have more to learn.
You're right.
I don't know
Tommy
how
Lee,
did it.
whenever we work with these guys who are older than us and better than us, you do walk away going, oh yeah, I guess you start panicking. Okay, this great actor's coming in. Let's make sure his stuff is as good as it can be. And then you're like, wait a minute. They get there like, I took the gig because I like it. I like what I'm going to get to do with this stuff.
Creo que si yo trabajaría con Brad Pitt o Adam Sandler, también haría eso. Pero ahora, sabiéndolo, creo que me callaría la boca y haría lo mío. O al menos intentaría. Algún día, Brad. Yo lo sé. Lo vamos a hacer.
The Safdie brothers, they take it so serious. Every person in the movie meant so much to them. So they had legitimate people there, people who aren't actors, people who are really jewelers, people who are, you know, the FedEx guy in the movie who just drops off the rock to me.
Right.
That's the 47th Street FedEx guy. Like, he just like, we love his look, we want him, he'll play it more real than, you know, they just...
Qué copado, imagínate estar trabajando ahí en FedEx y que de repente venga un productor de una película tipo re grosa, un director, y diga, che, ¿te gustaría actuar en mi película? Y vos como, salí de acá, estafador, pero no está nada en Sandler, salí de acá. Y después era cierto. Come back, Shaq, come back.
I got out here at the end of the 80s. When did you,
Right, yes.
when did you get, early 90s? Or
I finished college 88, got here like 89, 80, end of 88.
And then it was still, you know, it was big blockbusters with Stallone and Schwarzenegger, and then we went through the 90s where independent cinema, which certainly Tarantino was a part of its birthing.
Yeah.
And we went through that, and then I don't know what we call the aughts. I don't know how I would define that. But then streaming services came on. And it's been early 2000s, you could see films, you know, it was getting harder and harder to make interesting material. And this was mainly because, as you know, prints and advertising was so goddamn expensive. Take those gambles on gutsy material. Or I say that, I don't mean that there weren't gutsy films made, but though they were usually more gambles. Yeah, you had to do it under 10 million or something.
10 millones de dólares, o sea, como mínimo en el 2000, 10 millones de dólares. Ya fue, tipo, vamos a hacerlo, como mínimo, o sea, tenés que gastar más de 10 para hacer una publicidad potente y masiva. En el 2000.
One of the first to go that route film-wise.
You too.
And I wasn't far behind,
Yeah.
you know, looking at you, but I think you were the very first.
I remember I said,
Film-wise.
let me get this going for Brad, and then I did it, and look at you now.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. I guess my point is, I'm all for change. I mean, I'm certainly
Yeah.
not going to fight it.
Me gusta esa actitud de Brad, tipo, yo no me voy a pelear con esto, vamos a ver, sigamos con esto, veamos cómo funciona. Me encanta, me encanta. Por eso es el uno.
On the other hand, people talk about lamenting the death of the cinematic experience. Is that gone because the home experience has gotten so good?
I don't see it being gone. I like saying I saw your movie in a theater.
Yeah, I don't see it being gone.
It's different now.
It'll be fewer and
Yes, yes.
Well,
But it's
between, is
exciting
that
when
the
you're there.
expression?
You're exciting. It's very exciting when you're at a movie theater. And when I saw, it's funny. I saw your movie a week ago or 5 days ago.
Which?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was in New England and I looked up where's it playing and I had to drive an hour and 20 minutes. You know, it's at some theater and it was so much fun going to the theater, watching it on a big screen. Of course, Tarantino wants you to see it on a big screen.
A menos que tengas la plata para crear un cine en tu casa como Miley Cyrus. Pero creo que esa cosa de la previa, el estar ahí y después el salir, ir a un café y hablar de lo que acabas de ver, es como, esa ceremonia es hermosa. Yo la amo.
So that's exactly the question. Does it have to be an event film for them to play now? Which it seems to be heading that way. There needs to be some kind of event propulsion.
Yeah, that's where it's at right now.
De hecho, fue lo que hicieron con la película de Barbie. La película de Barbie, 6 meses antes ya estaban como, bueno, no sé si 6 meses, pero sí, más o menos. Hace como, no sé, ¿desde cuándo le están haciendo publicidad? Desde marzo, ponele 4 meses y se estrenó en julio. Ese evento de ir tirándote cosas y juegos y boludeces acerca de la película para crearte esa expectativa y hacerlos que vayan al cine a ver la película. Por eso se hizo tanta cosa. Lo mismo pasó con La Sirenita y con todas estas películas así tan taquilleras, digamos, ¿no?
Like I said, sitting back and watching how great that movie looked, Tarantino's movie, and just seeing you guys on a big screen was just a great experience. But I saw Ad Astra at home on my screen, and it felt more private. I loved being alone with it. I loved because the sound design, I was digging the sound design, I was digging the shots, and the quiet, the stuff on the moon, that quiet feeling up there. It was just me alone and the screen, and it kind of rocked me hard.
What about, we didn't talk about 100% Fresh, because that came out this year too. Come on, it's a movie. Doesn't it count? Don't we call this a film?
It's a movie. No, I don't know.
We don't call this a film?
Special.
We call this special?
A variety show or something like that. I don't know. But
Really?
I love that Brad
Dude,
comes
I love that
see me do stand up. That was a fun night. Yeah.
But it's wholly original.
Thanks, buddy.
I hope you keep doing that as well.
Yeah, me too. This is kind of an actor question. Now, sometimes you've done a movie, it's coming out, and then you have to think about, okay, life has to go on. I have to do another movie, or I have to sit for a while, or what do you do? What goes? Do you have stuff that you've been working on a long time, like Ad Astra?
Yeah.
How long were you working on that before you actually shot it and got it going?
Well, I mean, James Gray, much longer. I think he developed it working on it for like 5 years. We worked on it for...
Sí, dijo 5 años. 5 años. O sea, imagínate la profundidad que hay de ese trasfondo de haber estado 5 años en trabajar en la idea de la película. O sea, ni siquiera es en el rodaje, sino en toda la previa de hacer esa película.
I think a good 10 months up to, you know, really honing the script.
Right.
Until we got to shooting. And then afterwards, you know, the post-production was pretty long for us. It was almost
That seemed
a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Oh, man.
By the time we got it out.
Yeah, the look of that movie.
Almost.
Look at that movie, the cut of that movie, it's incredible. And the sound and everything. And the music, I love the music also.
Yeah.
That got me good too.
But I feel like we you know, it's easy when you're on a film. You can put everything else aside. You say, "Hey, man, I'm on a film."
That's a good
You
feeling.
know, I can
yeah.
get myopic about it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're busier when we're not shooting something.
Oh man.
Like we're called upon.
I don't talk about anything else except when I'm doing that movie. I don't know what else is going on.
How long
out
was
there.
the shoot? The Safdie
Wasn't
Brothers?
bad. It was probably 37 days or something
That's
like that.
amazing, man.
It was kind
That's
of
fast. That's
all
a
over New
lot of
York.
energy.
Most of it live. Most of it in the city, and most of it and apartments and stuff. And then there was the jewelry store itself. That was a set.
Great.
That was a cool set.
It was great.
That was the set.
Dude, I put on a dinosaur mask and I got recognized in New York City. It's like, I don't know what it is.
Imagínate estar caminando por la ciudad de Nueva York y cruzarte a un chabón con una máscara de dinosaurio y que sea Brad Pitt y reconocerlo. O sea, tenés que tener un conocimiento de su anatomía como para reconocer a alguien con una máscara de dinosaurio.
You know, especially when people grow up with you, but...
like you were just saying, Pitt, I was skiing one time, had the helmet on, the dicky up, the goggles.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to be a fun day. No one's going to literally just like 6:37 in the morning. Hey, Adam Sandler. I go, how'd you know? He goes, that big nose. Like, yeah, all right, man.
No, I think it's something in growing up. We can discuss it later. I won't waste it here. But just our body types. And people just know, like when you see the Bigfoot in the forest. You know, it's like,
yeah, the body types are Brad's body, and then my scoliosis pops out. People go, there's Adam.
Creo que también es lo que los hizo a ellos interpretar las cosas que interpretaron, porque también la industria buscaba en ellos eso que era explotable desde su imagen, ¿no?
I don't know why I'm so happy watching comedies, but I was like that my entire life.
No, we all are. I think that...
Como que estás relajado porque sabes que nadie va a morir, nadie se va a informar de algo muy grave y nadie va a ser atropellado trágicamente o le va a pasar algo terrible, porque es una comedia y entonces si a alguien por ahí le pasa eso, lo que muestran es la parte cómica de eso que le pasa. Por lo general, ¿no? Porque después tenés la película El Click de Adam. Esa película supuestamente es comedia, lo que lloré con esa película. Y después todas las películas de perros, tipo Marley y yo. El otro día yo fui como Owen Wilson en Marley y yo. Cuando se le escapa el perro, bueno, el otro día yo fui como... Estás más relajado que cuando sabés que vas a ver algo que tiene un drama re profundo. O algo más apocalíptico, profundo o pesado.
They're playable where a heavy drama, you need distance from. You can't invest.
You jump in. You gotta adjust when you sit down to watch a heavy movie. You gotta go, okay, do I want to get myself into that right now?
Yo creo que no estoy preparada todavía para ver dramas otra vez. O sea, antes sí veía dramas, pero yo hoy en día digo, decido no ver esas películas, porque primero todo lo que ves entra a tu subconsciente y tenés que estar como muy bien, o sea, y estar bastante bien como para tomar la decisión de meterte en esos mundos y el saber distanciarte de la película. Yo es como tengo esa cosa de que cuando veo una peli yo me remeto en la peli, o sea, yo estoy ahí adentro y me cuesta mucho el distanciamiento de la película. Por eso yo a veces digo que prefiero no ver cosas traumatizantes. De hecho, cuando vi las películas para el seminario me costó un montón. Por suerte lo vi con un cuaderno y una lapicera en la mano. Mi objetivo era ver las cuestiones técnicas. Sinceramente fue lo que vi. No es para cualquiera ver ese tipo de películas y a veces según tu salud mental a veces es como hay cosas que uno tiene que conocer, que puede ver y que no. O sea, yo creo que ese límite lo tenés que poner vos y saber que cuando decidís ver algo, ser consciente de la decisión de eso que vas a ver.
What I love is, you know, when we started, cables everywhere and massive lights that would, you'd be sweating all the time. It's like, you know, and big ass cameras that were super loud. And now it's getting down to we'll just be sitting in our room. You can see in the dark now, and it's a whole nother thing. It's an amazing thing.
It is cool.
You were talking about NYU, your time at NYU.
Yeah.
This is my favorite Adam Sandler story that I heard from Bennett Miller.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was that you were at NYU.
Yes.
And it was an acting coach, I believe, or acting professor.
Acting professor, yeah.
Okay, and he said to you...
Sé que ya vi todo esto porque estuve subtitulándolo. Pero esta historia que va a contar Brad, la verdad, es hermosa y nos deja muchas enseñanzas y muchas cosas que aprender de la vida. Solamente voy a decir.
He said, "Oh, I want to take you out for beer." Is this how he took you out for a beer?
Yeah, something like
This
that.
is what I'm told. He took you out for a beer.
Right.
You guys went to a bar.
Right.
And he kindly said to you,
Yes.
think about something else.
Exactly.
Listen, you got a heart, but you don't have it. You don't have it.
Yeah,
and
right.
Choose another path.
Oh yeah.
Truth.
That is, it was like that. He actually sent a letter. This is just what.
There's a second part to this story.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah. Well,
That you.
oh right, this
that
is the event. It reminded me of this.
This is why it's my favorite Adam Sandler story, and I think it says a lot about you. That you ran into him at the heights, you know, when you're getting the ultimate payday, and you're with a bunch of friends, and you run into him out at a bar.
Yeah.
And anyone would think that's the opportunity where you
La
go.
vuelta de la vida, señor. La vuelta de la vida. Perdón.
You know, you rub it in his face. And reportedly, what you did was you said hi, and you introduced him to your friends, and you said, "This is the only teacher to ever buy me a beer."
Something like that. That's right. Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
I love
Of course.
I love that.
Thank
I think that's
Yeah, you
the
know-
guy I know, and I think that's why you're here after all these
I
years.
love you. You too, Brad. There's nobody. I mean, I even when I would talk to you about, I just got done seeing your movies, and I was just trying to tell you how much I loved them, which they both crushed me. You didn't want to talk about that for 1 second. You just thank.
Yeah,
Let's
you
move
know
on,
what?
man? You don't want to sit in here.
Doesn't it feel like you get on to the next, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
We like to
live our lives and
Yeah. But I got to tell you, when you tell me I did good in Uncut Gems, that feels good. I can sit in that a little bit. I'm like, because I've what you've been doing over so many years and crushing for so long. When you tell me I'm doing some good, because it's not I'm so much more comfortable with the comedy. And if you're saying I'm doing well on this stuff, that does feel nice.
Dani del futuro, para la próxima, subtitula el video antes y después reacciona, porque si no pasan estas cosas, ¿no? Así que bueno, la verdad que estoy muy feliz con este video. Espero que les haya gustado el video de hoy. A mí me encantó hacerlo. Si les gustó, no olviden dejar su like, comentar, compartir y suscribirse si no están suscriptos o suscriptas, que me ayudan un montón a que mi canal siga creciendo. Y nos vemos en el próximo video.